What's up, chat? Would you like some gum? Chainsaw Man line work changes a shit ton between early Chainsaw Man line work and the last Chainsaw Man line work. He changes pens quite a lot. Clearly. Down. Oh. The right amount of nose holes is kind of difficult to figure out. As to say how much you're drawing. Chainsaw Man isn't in one of those where like there's no nose at all. But you can't overstate it. I think this area might be too much. Question is, do I want to make it so Kobeni has snot coming out or not? I don't know if she's at that level of absolute losing it. It's 2, I think. You non-artists don't understand the level of consideration that has to go into the act of drawing anime characters from below. We had the fucking free ren meme with this shit, but the kawaii ugu face. The problem with anime is there's a fundamental... the rule of anime is that girls have to look cute, but this rule comes up against the hard wall of the fact that when you look at somebody directly from below, they inevitably end up having a face that looks like this. Right? This is the end result of worrying about things from a three-dimensional perspective. Is that you get free ren from below, ends up looking like this. So we twist ourselves into pretzels trying to figure out how to draw our cute kawaii elf wife from different angles without looking up her nose holes and looking at all of her nose hairs, you know? Spending 4 streams over a Chainsaw Man shitpost, this is unhealthy. He's clearly venting his annoyance with Fujimoto with this bit. I'm not actually venting my annoyance. If anything, by spending too much time trying to mimic the specific line styles, I'm overdoing it. Too many people have given me comments about how my style looks like Chainsaw Man in the first place, which makes me want to see like whether I can max it out and make it look exactly like Chainsaw Man panels, which I've been sort of going overboard and not using the pens that I actually want to use and stuff that I actually like. Like, I think in the previous page, I think the line work of the Denji's coat, especially, not necessarily the face, right here, this panel right here, I think I got the coat and like the shirt and stuff to look exactly, just absolutely on point if you compare it to the original. Like, just the right amount of wrinkles and details and shit like that. But I ended up spending way too much time, like, pursuing that. This is one of my bad habits in making manga, because you're really not supposed to get obsessed like that. It's like 95% there. How dare you negate that 5%? I will never forgive you. You have insulted me. Now we must fight. Live with that hatred and make it 100%. There is no reason for me to have 100% similar artwork as Chainsaw Man, however. That would just... because Chainsaw Man already exists. I mean, Chainsaw Man doesn't look like 100% likeness to Chainsaw Man. I just started the stream by talking about it. Look how different the line work is in the old screenshots of part 1. He's using completely different pens and stuff like that. I think he might have been actually using analog for some of this, where he's 100% using digital in part 2, but it's just a completely different pen, clearly. If you finish the face, you can half-ass everything else in the manga. People gotta see that panel half a sec anyway. True, it do be like that. That is true. %5 missing is because you haven't tried to levitate. Out of all the, like, criminal jobs, Art Forger has to be one of the coolest ones, right? You get to be a cool, skilled artist, and you get to make your money by ripping off rich people who think that they're buying some sort of stupid fucking investment for money laundering. It's like, oh, look at this Matisse! You certainly won't have any feelings of, like, moral ambiguity. Like, you're sleeping like a baby if you're an art forger. You're not worried about all the children you murdered or anything. You got barely sketch stuff getting animated. How dare you insult my hero Togashi? I was reading Shonen Jump, the magazine, in real time when he was posting his storyboards. And I was like, wait, am I hallucinating? It seems like this picture isn't really finished, huh? I was like, is this what am I? Is this just a new style? Am I the one who's weird right now? I don't know. I think my initial reaction was like, I don't know if I like this new style that Togashi is testing out with here. I think I liked the previous style before, and then it turned out that it wasn't a style change. It was just him not making Deadline because he was playing too much Dragon Quest or whatever. Imagine Fujimoto teasing Part 3 on April Fool's Day. I think we kind of need to retire April Fools at this point. April Fools is a extremely outdated thing to do as a holiday now that we have the internet and people are constantly posting fake news and AI-generated slop on it on a daily basis. We don't need any more false information. We don't need an entire day dedicated to, fucking with people's understanding of reality. It's just not a good idea. The only thing good that comes out of it is how there's all these corporations who they tease some dating sim game of their Eroguro FPS shooter and shit, and then the post becomes so popular they end up making the dating sim. That's the only good timeline that comes out of it. We should stop celebrating Mother's and Father's Day because you should celebrate your parents every day. I don't celebrate Mother's and Father's Day. How does that make you feel now, bitch? I also have successfully trained my parents into not expecting me to give them anything for their birthday in return for me also not wanting to celebrate my own birthday. A lot of these things are set up so that corporations can have an excuse for you to buy more shit. And I'm tired of buying shit. Especially physical objects. All of us already have too much shit, guys. We don't need any more stuff. Let's not do that. Come on. I just take them to dinner? Cool. In America, that will only cost you a very affordable $600. Just kidding. It's only $120 plus tip for a extremely mediocre steak. Service charges and tipping is truly invented by the devil himself. What if they make you things as opposed to buying them? Look, guys, I just don't want to celebrate shit, okay? I don't like being told by my calendar that I have to do specific things on specific dates. I value my freedom more than anything. And that includes celebrating my own birthdays, okay? Think about it. I already have shit on my calendar that I have to do, go and get my asshole examined by the hemorrhoid doctor, okay? That's a date. I don't need another date to be excuse me, sir. You also need to tell lies today. You also need to honor your mother and father today. There's already too much shit to keep track of. I say this as someone, who basically every day is a holiday and I just get to wake up and play video games and stuff like that if I feel like it, so. You guys don't understand how hard my life is, okay? I'm a struggling artist. I'm just a very sensitive human being, man. My life is so hard. Oh, God. I played video games for 6 hours yesterday. I just started the stream by talking about how, like, I was spending too much time on this picture because I cared too much about the quality. But the reason why I'm spending too much time on this picture was because I was playing Rogue Legacy 2, and I had gotten all the way to the final boss, and I was like, I should finish this up, because if I, like, delay and go back to playing Slay the Spire, I'm gonna lose all of my hand-eye coordination on all, like, the jumping and shit that I have to do. So I was doing pretty well, and then I got to the final boss, and they decided that the final boss was going to be, like, 8 times harder than any of the other bosses to this point. And, like, I figured out all the specific actions I need to do to dodge this fucking bullet hell, but, like, the boss does, like, 3 different attacks that you have to, like, pixel perfect jump them properly and shit in a row, and by the time you dodge the first attack, the next attack is coming, and I was grinding this shit forever, and I was like, god damn it, I'm not gonna be able to beat this, am I? That's roguelikes for you? It's not really a roguelike, honestly. Rogue Legacy, it doesn't have enough randomness in it for the last boss that I'll just be able to pull, like, a really good build and then just, like, luck into winning, actually. It's much more skill-based, unfortunately, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to complete it. Everybody who's like, oh my god, Souls games are so hard, like, they're not. They really aren't. It does have, like, RPG elements, so if I grinded super hard, I might be able to increase damage and stuff to the point where I can just damage race him. Honestly, up to this point, I've been killing most of the bosses just by damage racing, which shows you what a fucking shitter I am. Did he just say Rogue Legacy? What's your favorite class? Bro, no fucking way you got taste. I really liked Rogue Legacy 1, and I'm playing Rogue Legacy 2 right now, but I'm having difficulty beating the final boss on Rogue Legacy 2. They added all this, like, high-speed jumping, bouncing mechanics in Rogue Legacy 2, and I have such bad, like, reflexes. My gamer reflexes are very weak. So, 1 is better. I can't remember specifically what 1 was like, but in my memory, 1, it had more randomness and silliness to it, and 2 feels much more closer to a traditional 2D action game with, like, some randomness elements, but it doesn't really go out of its way, in which, the challenge of Souls games is boredom. If your stats are low, you're forced into repetition. Who wants to make 5 dodges to do 2 out of 100 stabs? The Souls games becoming popular has become a curse on this industry because it allows, like, every untalented developer to be like, guys, it's a Souls-like, look, it's a Souls-like, guys. Look how hard we made it. If you don't like our game, you're a fucking shitter. You have to get good if you want to criticize our game. It sounds like you did play Duelist. Are you talking about the Rogue Legacy class Duelist? Or I can't remember what it was called. If a dev uses the word Souls-like, I'm out. Same with Metroidvania. I can't fucking play Metroidvanias even more than any other game type. I have never completed a Metroidvania in my life, basically. I think I've completed, like, 1. Because I have a tendency to drop a game and then, like, come back to it 3 weeks later. And if it's still 3 weeks, that's not that bad. But if it's, like, 6 months, which happens sometimes, then that means, like, you're playing a Metroidvania, that means that you come back to the game and it's been 6 months and you look at all these locations on the map and you're like, fuck. What was that door that was locked using clearly a specific item? Can I go back to it now? I've forgotten all of my fucking map progression. And of course, if it's a Metroidvania, 99% of the time they won't have, like, any map notes and stuff, because, like, the whole point of Metroidvanias is for the gamer to get that satisfaction of being like, oh, wait, now I can get I remember that door, now I can go back to that door, so... It's a huge problem for people who don't just play video games in like one span. Yellow paint is retarded, but how will I know where to go? You say that yellow paint is bad, and I do think that game developers should think of like better ways to indicate where you're supposed to go, but not knowing where to go is way worse than yellow paint. Have you guys tried playing like Duke Nukem 3D or whatever in like the modern day and age? Or like Turok? Fuck, bro. I bought like Turok 2 Remastered for my PS5 before I went to Japan and was playing it a little bit. And at one point, I basically had to give up in the second level because I was so fucking lost. It's so easy to get into a state where you just don't know how to go forward. Like, the worst part of a video game is when you're wandering around the same location, doing the same things, and trying to figure out how the game designers had planned you to go forward, to progress, and you're like, holy shit, this is so unfun. I think as a game developer, that should be the #1 thing you should be trying to avoid, is to make sure that your gamers, your customers don't get stuck in that situation. Turok is special though. Every map is like 20 times the size it should be. And also teleporters. If you start putting teleporters into your FPS, man, FPSs of that era, they were already like mazes, but Turok takes it to a whole nother level in terms of being like, you have no idea where to fucking go because you have to go through 18 different fucking teleporters, holy fuck. Jesus fucking Christ. But like, for things like, for example, Duke Nukem is considered a huge classic, right? But when I started playing it, I replayed it as an adult, and I remember like the 4th or 5th level, I got stuck in this like prison area, and I was like, how the fuck do I exit the level? I've killed everybody here. I was just walking around in the prison area for like an hour, being like, what am I missing? Was there a switch somewhere? And the answer to it was, in one of the rooms, there was a fucking poster on the wall, and if you shot the poster on the wall, you could go through the poster and go through like a hidden hole and get to the exit of the level. This wasn't like a secret area that gave you a power up. This was like the mandatory way to exit the level. They hid the way to out of the fucking level in a Shawshank Redemption reference. The game designers really thought that they were like cooking with that one. But as the actual player, it's like, what the fuck? Why did you think that people would be able to get that? That's just dog shit level design. I'm telling you, man, FPS of that time, people don't replay them as much. There's a reason why, like the Doom remakes, 2016 onward, they don't have that level of like maze bullshittery. I was there, Gandalf. I was playing those games 10,000 years ago, and they were just as bad back then, if not worse, before we got our HD. Actually, the Turok remake is, it's much more palatable in that it's not on the N64, which means you can actually tell which textures are, you know, fucking interactable and which ones aren't. Like, they actually made that part easier to figure out. Is this, like, fully black? This doesn't look fully black. What the hell? What's going on here? It is. Huh. Okay. Bald W take moment. I remember the Modern Warfare 2 designers, they were talking in an interview about how they set up the favelas map. and how like there's multiple pathways, but you can keep on going forward because you're just sort of going upward. They were like, the best level design is where you don't really feel like you're in a level and you can just sort of naturally progress forward. And I was like, that's it. Exactly. That's what a lot of these game developers don't get, is that as soon as you have to start like thinking in terms of like, why can't I go forward? What were the game developers expecting me to do? That's 100% you getting no longer immersed. It's taking you out of the illusion that you're in a living world, and it fucking ruins the experience for the gamer. So theoretically, you shouldn't have to put in yellow paint to remind the gamer that, you know, they're in a video game and they have to go forward along these beaten pathways. But having yellow paint is infinitely better than having a situation in which you're stuck in the same level for 10 or 15 minutes at a time. And man, that was fucking common in the older systems. Because, like, if you see a switch on the N64, the graphics, at least on the PS1, like when you were playing with the pre-rendered shit, they would like put sparklies or put white outlines around the interactable objects, where the object would be like have a different look than the pre-rendered background and stuff like that in like Resident Evil and shit. But like the N64 was the worst when it came to this, because like the textures of the interactables were the exact same textures as all this, like every muddy fucking wall texture that you had to be looking at the entire time. And man, you would just like, you would not be able to tell what the fuck is going on, what you could touch and what you couldn't touch. By the 5th level, you should know Duke is full of secrets and hidden pathways. That's kind of the whole point of old school FPSs. And why have old school FPSs died out? Do we see anybody playing old school FPSs in 2026? No, we don't. And they're not being made either, because people don't want to fucking do that anymore. Every once in a while they'll come out but people like shooting shit. There's some people who like getting completely lost in a maze, but unless you're really good at solving this stuff, it very, very quickly devolves into a situation where you're just like not having fun, so... I don't know how to tell you, but there's a huge market for boomer shooters. Kind of. I guarantee those shooters don't have situations like Duke Nukem 3D where you get stuck and can't exit the level. They've probably all learned their lesson and made it so that the secrets are secrets, but they're optional secrets that give you more stuff like that. If I played like Eon Fury or stuff like that, all of these boomer shooter remakes, I guarantee you that they won't have that level of level design that's so obtuse where you get fucking stuck and you can't even progress forward. And if any of them are highly rated, I'm sure they've learned from it. I beat La Mulana. I love that shit, but I also made my own full map of the game, LOL. La Mulana isn't about shooting pigs and stuff and having the La Mulana character being like, I love bacon. If you don't like getting stuck in for hours and hours and hours, you probably aren't going to buy La Mulana in the first place. Literally nobody goes into La Mulana knowing nothing about the game. It's too obscure. Everybody is just like fully prepared for the torture of like not knowing how to go forward, so it's a little different. Nobody likes obtuse design. Again, the biggest problem isn't like getting stuck, but it's like you're forced to think in terms of like, what is it that this other human being in the real world, the fucking game designer that made the game, what were they thinking at the time? You can't think in terms of the in-universe shit because it's usually like too weird that it doesn't make sense. the ultimate version of this isn't these boomer FPSs where you can get lost. It's actually adventure games. And you might be also like, no, Ball, the adventure games still also have a market, like, barely. They have their fucking psycho stupid ass fan base that still wants to play King's Quest 18 or whatever. But if we're talking in general, they've basically, like, it's a fucking dead and gone market, despite it being like a very low budget way to make a video game. Here, I bet if I look on YouTube right now, there's a video specifically about this. Worst adventure game puzzles.
Designing adventure game puzzles is admittedly a fine art. There's no way of telling if the puzzle you planned is so obvious that anyone can solve it, or if it's so opaque that you can't even fathom at the solution. Here, in no particular order, are what I think are the 10 dumbest adventure game puzzles. Number 1, Yellow Flowers in the Meat, The Secret of Monkey Island. Now, I love The Secret of Monkey Island. I genuinely do. It's only my second favorite game of the series, but I'm willing to say it's still easily in the top 10 of the greatest adventure games ever made. Ever. One of the things which gives it such amazing longevity is that the game puzzles are so clear and simple. Into the mansion, you have to pass the ravenous piranha poodles. Now, to be fair, the game does drop a couple of hints to the solution, but they are so far removed from how you solve the puzzle that it could easily qualify as a leap of logic puzzle. If you don't believe me, let me just tell you the solution. You stick some yellow flowers in a piece of meat and feed it to the poodles, and this knocks them out. Now, if you traverse Melee Island long enough, you will discover the piece of meat in the kitchen of the scum bar, and that you can stick it into the soup pot, though that does nothing. One of the pirate leaders who gives you the quest tells you that you could possibly drug the poodles, but nothing in the game seems like it would serve the purpose. Eventually, you'll probably also talk to Otis, who tells you that he's been arrested for picking flowers. He tells you that the flowers are yellow and called Canis Indormi. Canis Indormi means the dog sleeps. That's right, LucasArts put a clue in the game in friggin' Latin. Now mind you that I'm not a native English speaker either.
Fuck adventure games, guys. That shit ain't fun. Also, LucasArts, rest in peace, but rip in pieces, fuck that shit as well. Adventure games are literally the worst video game genre to ever exist, and it's shocking that they were the most popular form of video games for like a solid, 8 to 10 years at the early era of PC gaming. That's right, kids, learn Latin. The thing is, among that list right there, that probably wasn't even the worst one. I was thinking about this because there was a 4chan thread about this recently where people were listing the absolute worst puzzles. And some of them just like straight up introduced new mechanics that had never existed before in the game, in other parts of the game, and you're expected to figure that shit out. LucasArts made bangers, but they were so mismatched and abusive after 2003. Well, they ain't around anymore, so it's all been lost like tears in rain. There's a reason why video games reach their level of popularity. If you look at those like charts showing the growth of the video game industry when they weren't appealing to these nerds that were willing to take unlimited amounts of abuse by their video game developer masters. Timmy playing Modern Warfare doesn't want to have to think about like clicking a room 10,000 times and then learning Latin so he can know what this fucking flower petals do. King's Quest had some annoying ones. The worst ones would literally soft lock you in the game, and you could play like the game for like another 30 hours and just get to the point where you're soft locked because you hadn't done a very specific thing and you couldn't go forward and you wouldn't even know that you were soft locked. It's like the absolute epitome of bad game design. It was from a time in which game developers had like a very antagonistic relationship with their own players. We always talk about like the disastrous consequences of not gatekeeping hard enough and letting the casuals in. Well, this is the state of the video game industry when there were no casuals. It was only the fucking hardcore giga nerds playing their PC games, and they would like be in open discussions with letters because there was no internet with the game developers and being like, I solved your puzzle, Mr. Game Developer. And the game developer was like, oh man, I made it too easy. We have to make our fucking puzzle harder. You purchased our game, fuck you? Yeah. Now you played the game, fuck you, is reserved for talentless video game writing teams who are like, you're playing the game about shooting people? Interesting. Now you must feel bad about all the enemies you killed. What do you mean? If I don't shoot people, there's no way to progress the game forward. You could just put down your controller. What do you mean you already paid $70 for this piece of shit game? You could just not play it. Have you ever considered that? Well, you did play the game, so now you're a murderer. That's our current state. You should feel bad, bad, bad. And to that I say, no, fuck you. I don't feel bad. I felt super good shooting these people, and I don't give a fuck about your stupid dog shit story. Spec Ops The Line was pretty solid. Spec Ops The Line is just one of these many, many games in which they're like, I see, player. Are you enjoying violence in this game about committing acts of violence? Shame on you. Far Cry is like that. There's multiple Far Cries where they're like, it seems like you're enjoying the murdering part a little bit too much. Looks like we have to punish you. Have you ever considered what you're doing is bad? At least Kojima gave you a choice. Kojima gives you a choice, but he also doesn't spend like 20 minutes criticizing Snake for killing too many people. You just get a grade at the end of the video game, and if you murdered every single enemy, you get a grade that says like alligator or something, which is always what I got. Because I would just like headshot every enemy in every area before I would move forward, just to be sure, you know. They can't notify other guards if all the other guards are also dead. People are playing Far Cry. This was before Ubisoft completely crashed. People enjoyed Far Cry 3 quite a... well, 3 too as well, but 3 and 5 are generally somewhat beloved by the gamers. But it really just comes down to people want to drive around and shoot shit. Video game plot is stupid, honestly. The core experience of the video game is this infamous YouTube here. This clip right here. Soulja Boy provides his thoughts on Braid. Right here.
Oh man, hey, it's your boy Soulja Boy. Tell them, hey, they got this game right for people who smoke or people who drink. Like if you drink beer and you get drunk, or if you smoke weed and you get high, and you just anything like if you just be getting fucked up, they got this game right. Oh no, this shit called Braid. Oh no, hey, watch this shit. It's about this little guy in a suit and he walking around and ain't got no point to the game. You just walk around jumping on shit. It look like Mario in the future.
It's just no point. You just walk around jumping on shit.
Orange, and the tie on. And he just walk around jumping shit. But what's the funny part about it? You can do this right here. Watch this.
You? Oh!
What you do? How you do that? How you do that? If you didn't catch that, I just went back in time. Through the whole game, he just be going back in time. Watch this shit. Like, you about to die. You be like, oh, shit.
Ah! Oh!
Nigga, just go back. Watch this shit. Watch this shit. Watch this shit. Right here. So say like, he go up here, right? And he fall in the fire.
Oh!
Suck your ass out, bitch. Watch this shit. Hey, watch this shit. Come here, bitch. Look at this shit. Nah.
Look how much fun he's having.
You saw how far I rewinded that shit. And then what makes it so funny about it, he don't never run out of the going back in time potion. He just go back in time forever.
You just go back in time forever.
And there ain't no point to the game.
There ain't no point in the game.
Go around. You like shit. Oh, I fell off the ladder. No, I didn't.
Ain't no point. Soulja Boy had more fun engaging with the most basic mechanics of this supposed puzzle game than the person who actually designed the game was like, no, actually, guys, it's supposed to be a commentary on the modern design of the princess saving setup of Mario, and actually you were the monster all along, LMAO, and Soulja be like, there ain't no point to this game. No pretentious works of art can resist the mocking remarks of a midwit. Yes. But isn't the whole point of video games to have your customers actually enjoy them? The designer should be honored that Soulja Boy had more fun with his fucking video game than basically anybody else. Soulja Boy's joy of just like watching the character go backwards in time reminds me of a time of my own innocence as a youth when I was just like, I got to play video games for like 5 hours on the weekend because my mother didn't want me to play video games. And just the joy of like having Mario run around in a 3D environment and stuff. Like I would play GoldenEye, and instead of like properly doing the whole level and like do the James Bond shit, instead I would just like, there was one level in which you were in a snowstorm in Russia, and there was just like an unlimited supply of soldiers that would come over a hill, and I would just like see how long I could just chill out in that area and headshot them with a sniper just like endlessly. And my father was like commenting on it. It's like, bro, aren't you like gonna go for it? And I'm like, nah, I just want to shoot people. There was a time in our lives when like just engaging with the mechanics was a joy in itself with video games. Just like pressing the button on the screen and like having the character do something in response was like fucking mind-blowing. And Soulja Boy understands that. He doesn't need any fucking pretentious story. Little BB was just so happy to have endless bullet fodder. Yeah. I don't think there was any regenerating health in 007 GoldenEye. Was there regenerating health or not? I couldn't remember if I was surviving just by, you know, successfully killing people, or whether there was like a regenerating health mechanic. I don't think there was. So that means I was capable of good enough at shooting these things, that by things I mean people, that I could just hang out in that level and murder people endlessly. Good times. Just a lot of fun. Exploring off track, yeah. The people who were exploring off track. Those are the people who are making YouTube lore videos on that Wampa or Womp or whatever, and that's caged inside Bowser's castle and shit. They're like, what's going on here? What's the lore? Speaking of Mario Kart, did you guys are you guys watching the Mario movie 2? There were all these 4chan threads on V about it, complaining about how they're butchering the lore, of course, and I'm like, bitch, this is an Illumination movie for children. Stop being stupid for 5 seconds. Apparently, even as a children's movie, it's kind of insufferable because it's just endless references. Mario Galaxy movie trailer.
There's a huge universe out there. With a lot of galaxies.
Nintendo.
We gotta get everyone out of here. Go, go, go.
I'm out just by hearing Mario's voice, honestly. Mamma mia!
I demand that you release my father.
He does the Marvel landing.
Fine with me.
Epic explosion. Whoa! Woo!
My Koopas! Your king has returned!
Okay, I've seen enough. Chris Pratt as Mario is like you as Snake? Are you saying I can't do the Snake voice? What's that? Let me comment on James Bond movies and Godzilla movies. People were freaking out because Fox is in this movie, and people reflexively assume that the next movie is going to be a Smash Brothers movie. It might be. Who the fuck knows? It's literally not even Mario anymore. Shut the fuck up, Chris Pratt. I don't know why they were like, Chris Pratt, he's so cool. He's the best Mario. It makes no fucking sense. I only want to watch the first one for Bowser, and even then it wasn't enough. As usual, as soon as Hystrixia latches on, as soon as she sees any kind of gay sex icon, she's onto that media immediately. She's like, is that a Bada content originator? This muscular turtle? Is this man even remotely associated with homosexual activity? The Lego movie is a 10 out of 10, not gonna lie. Lord and Miller, unlike the people who are making the Mario movie, are actually relatively talented movie makers who can take an incredibly stupid, like, toy company concept like Lego Batman and actually make a somewhat entertaining movie out of it, which is really an impressive skill. And I'm glad that they've been allowed to make, like, a non-franchise movie with Project Hail Mary. What is up with goth and VTubers wanting to fuck Bowser? Well, I don't know about the goths and VTubers, but I know that Bowser is a gay sex icon because he has that thick bada body. You notice how the bada body is like... It's like this, right? This is like too round. Round, but also muscular, right? So the Bowser body is also like that way, like Big Daddy. I can't remember if he has a turtle shell on the front. He does, right? It's like this type of shape right here, this roundness. The scaly, furry, gay crowd. They show out for this body type. That could be Bowser or King K. Rool. I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of King K. Rool gay porn as well. Strong fat equals gay sex? Usually, yes. Because women aren't attracted to the strong fat body type in most cases. So the chance of you getting gay sex from the strong fat body type content of characters is extremely high. It's a lizard, though. Yes, there's no way anyone would sexualize that lizard. Guys, stop being weird and getting horny over the lizard, said no one, because the internet has given up on that. I prefer shelled Bowser instead of pecs and abs Bowser. Let's check out the percentage of pecs and abs Bowser versus shelled Bowser when we go on Rule 34. Alright, let's check this out. Bowser. There's 19,000 Bowser images. Okay, Peach taking cock, Peach taking cock. Gay Bowser with gay Donkey Kong surrounding twink Fox McCloud. Bowser with massive round gay ass. Bowser with no shell, large pecs and belly. Bowser with no shell, large pecs and belly. Bowser fucking Princess Bubblegum. Bowser fucking Snow White. Pecs and abs and pubic hair and chest hair Bowser with huge cock and balls sitting next to Fox McCloud in the sauna. Round, massive pecs and abs Bowser with huge cock and balls letting out a huge piece of shit. Round, no-shell Bowser with a leather spiked cock ring around his massive cock. Lots of Bowser topping Fox here. Oh, here's some massive Bowser cock versus female Toad. I'd say it's about 60 to 75% gay content, 25% heterosexual content is seemed to be the division here. He still has a job of fucking Peach, I guess. The NTR cocks who want to see Peach lose to the big turtle cock are the big daddies from BioShock Ken Levine bada-coded. I think most of the BioShock audience ended up being heterosexual men who wanted to fuck Elizabeth, so... These people need to just stick it to 1 to 2 fetishes. Too many at once is just absurdity. I'll make sure to notify them in the next fetishist meeting. Hopefully they'll learn to tone it down a little. Spoiler alert, they did not learn to tone it down. Bowser is a bi icon. Big daddies are not. I don't know why Big Daddies didn't catch on, but they didn't. I have a lot of difficulty with Denji's hair here. I explained the plot of Biocock to an old dude and he said, that's the dumbest shit I ever heard. He wasn't high IQ enough to understand the Ayn Randian symbolism that makes the original Bioshock such a masterpiece. Hashtag video games are art. Am I right, fellow gamers? Pretty much explaining the plot of any video game to a old boomer who doesn't play video games is gonna be like, that's the dumbest shit I ever heard. But they'll probably say the same thing if, like, you explained the plot of, like, a critically applauded novel and stuff as well, so... I don't think you should worry too much about it. I mean, the boomer track record of understanding the concept of video games is pretty poor, considering we had fucking Ebert being like, I cannot play video games, but I consider myself to be an important critic, so I will watch video of somebody else playing these video games and then think I have a legitimate opinion on whether I should be allowed to deem whether video games are art or not, despite my inability to, like, push buttons on a screen and, you know, control a character, which is the absolute core basic, you know, concept behind video games. So if, like, someone whose job is to be a professional critic felt like they were qualified to, you know, say that about something that they were completely incapable of consuming, then, yeah, the chance of you, like, explaining something to a non-professional critic and them giving it a fair shake is basically zero. I think it was more so the centrist behavior in BioShock. I mean, can't you just, have non-centrist behavior and choose to murder little girls? Surely being like, I harvest the children for their adrenochrome is not a centrist behavior. Ebert thought RLM was the last good source for Star Wars reviews back in the day. He also couldn't remember Dumbledore fucking died, skull emoji. To be fair, he also watches like 30,000 movies, so... Most of these movie critics, if they could have it the way they want, they would only watch like Kurosawa movies or whatever, and they wouldn't be forced to watch like Harry Potter slop, but it's their job, so... They're humans too, so there's a bunch of shit they don't like, but they're still forced to watch it. I can't imagine giving a charitable opinion to shit I don't like when I have to watch shit I don't like on a daily basis, so... If I was a professional critic, I'd have a lot of, like, you know, why did he have that opinion type opinions as well, I guess. You get Goody Two-Shoes, Adoptive Dad ending, Centrist ending, and Tyrant 2.0 ending. It's like average Western game. As I was worried that the gamers wouldn't understand which is the Renegade option and which is the Paragon option, so I made sure to add these helpful color-coded options right here. Okay, that's too far, dude, but that's usually what it is. It really is like, should you help the old lady get her cat out of the tree? Or should you murder the old lady and her cat and take their wallet? It's like the two fucking options. It's always like that. And then if there's like even the slightest amount of like moral ambiguity, people are like, oh, this is the greatest writing ever. They provided the skullfuck option, but in this case, the skullfuck option was royally deserved when you consider the social political consequences. You don't understand, the MC had to skullfuck her. This is like everything in Baldur's Gate, right? People are like, oh my god, it's so complex. The moral dilemmas presented. What if you know the kid is a school future dictator that will conquer Europe? Would you still buy the ice cream? I wouldn't buy the ice cream under any conditions. It's her own stupid bitch's fault for dropping her ice cream. The problem with the evil option in any game is that you don't make the skullfuck option way more appealing in terms of what you get from it. Yeah, the skullfuck option only gives you 10 adrenochrome. Whereas the buying her the new ice cream, she'll be like, thanks, mister. And then she walks off and you're like, oh, I did a good thing, but I didn't get any rewarded for it. But maybe I'll get rewarded at a future date. And the future date is like 5 hours later. So it's just normal game time. And then like she gives you like 20 adrenochrome. It's like, thanks, mister. Have my adrenochrome. I just wanted my character to bone everyone. Average Baldur's Gate 3 player. See, this is why we were supposed to gatekeep the hobby and not let women in, especially into our fantasy games. If we start letting women into our fantasy games, we're just going to have the romantasy genre, except as an RPG format. The females are just gonna be like, is that a sexy fairy? Well, time to bring out my Minotaur demi-human massive cock self-insert and have them have gay sex now. The less aware people in this chat might be like, no, Ball, surely women aren't that horny. They won't just ruin the entire plotline just so they can see gay monster sex. Sadly, you sweet summer child. You say this as I was literally gifted the A Kartar box set. Was that a quart of, what is it? Something and roses. What's the T stand for? I can't remember. Has it properly concluded? Thorns. Okay, yeah, that would make sense based on the context. If a quart of thorns and roses has properly concluded, at least that makes it better than fucking Game of Thrones for that option. Maybe if George R.R. Martin was more focused on the sexy gay sex instead of the political intrigue, he would be able to finish his story. But then I remember that George R.R. Martin wrote 10,000 pages on incest, so it's not like he wasn't focused on it. He just made too much money. 6th book comes out this year? Okay, I spoke too soon. Remember, Martin is writing sequel shows to Game of Thrones like sequels. Whatever, man. He made his money. There's nothing we can do. Martin thinks he's George Lucas. Bro is not the GOAT, but George Lucas is a horrible writer. He just had, like, super talented people around him. George R. R. Martin is a way, way better writer than George Lucas could ever imagine himself being. George Lucas just has a lot more first mover advantage and, like, insanely talented people around him that took the visual slop of ideas he had and made it into something real. Like, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, but I'm not gonna give George Lucas credit when, like, he fucking has, like, John Williams. It's like, come on, bro, just get the soundtrack by the best music composer of all time. Easy. You consider Walt Disney to be fraudulent? No. I consider Walt Disney to be part of that, like, previous generation in which you were allowed to treat your animators like slaves. He's in the same category as Tezca as me, as in people that have immense contribution to the art form, but you definitely don't want to have to deal with them in real life. And who are probably horrible assholes. Nothing's changed, yes, but now we have the animator slaves in, like, the Philippines and stuff. If you actually want to have your in Disney slaves, you can't treat them as horribly. Walt and Tezca are two sides of the same coin. It's interesting to show, like, the content written by Tezca about Walt, because Tezca was, like, insanely competitive toward his other mangaka, and he wouldn't glaze them under any situation, but he was, like, he idolized Walt Disney a ton, and when he met Walt Disney, like, he drew a picture of, like, seeing a halo above Walt Disney's head. He wanted to be Walt Disney, basically, and his animation and a lot of his style is based on Walt Disney, so they come from the same house of just being, like, absolute fucking psychos. The fact that Tezca is probably even more of a psycho than Walt Disney really says a lot of how much of a psycho he was. Or importing slavery when picking fruit is concerned. Look, I need to have my fucking mangoes, okay? It's so funny how every time America wants to do something with their immigration system, immediately fruit starts to rot, because it's absolutely impossible to get Americans to pick fruit at the wages that would be required to make these grove orchards to be profitable. It's like, no, please, wait, Mr. Republican. I said fix the immigration system, but not that way. I need a shit ton of imported labor, or else I can't pick this fruit. Literally every fucking time. The disenfranchised get to live in America, yay? Kind of. They're probably living in, like, shitty barracks that are provided to them by their employer. These bananas aren't gonna pick themselves. Actually, the bananas are coming directly from Mexico and Philippines and stuff, so... I wonder who's taking care of the pineapples in Taiwan, because I'm getting a lot of Taiwanese fruit while I'm in Japan. So I wonder what how their labor market goes. Taiwanese wages might still be relatively low enough that they can have domestic fruit picking, but I don't think so, considering their wages have gone way up with all the microchips and stuff. I don't know if they can, they probably have some sort of imported labor. Witnessed a video of a woman crying over her 70% interest student loan. So far as I'm concerned, most Americans are slaves. The thing about loans, though, is unlike actual slavery, you can get away with just not paying them. That's like the secret hack of like being in debt in America, is just being like, LOL, what you gonna do, Mr. Credit Card Company? What if I don't give a fuck about my credit score? What you gonna do now? They can't send the debt collectors to break your legs. Just live in your crippling debt and don't give a fuck. It would be interesting to do an experiment of being like, I already have like awful credit score and crippling debt, but let's see how much extra crippling debt I can accumulate. Because we know for a fact that there's all these like subprime lenders among credit card companies that are just like, this person has 18 other maxed out credit cards, but we're still going to give them a new credit card because this is our business. We attack the lowest quality people who are most likely not going to pay back their shit, but we still we do this by like hiking up the interest to maximum. Then they just sell your debt to someone else and fuck everyone else over, yes. And then I wonder what the company that owns your debt now has to do. Unethical pro-life tips. I mean, I believe it's illegal. You can't pass out on your debt to your children and stuff. So if you're considering dying soon because you're old or whatever, or you have cancer, you could just try like taking out 10 credit cards and accumulating a shit ton of credit card debt. Just to fuck with the system. I think in Japan you can actually pass on your debt to relatives and stuff. I know it applies for people who commit suicide by train. Because they're just trying to figure out ways to get people to stop jumping into trains and stopping the transportation method of thousands and thousands of people every day. So I think they can pass on these huge like bills to your extended family. I don't think it has stopped people from committing suicide though. Japan is one of those shame-based, honor-based societies, so I don't think they've grown out of their ways of like having collective punishment for people's sins, is I think the situation. Because millionaires can make debt into profit by getting their debts collateralized, while middle and lower class people can't pay back their own loans. The magic of money, guys. Interest accumulates and so does debt. Debt for rich people is fundamentally different than debt for poor people. Interesting how that works. I don't have to pay taxes because all of my spending money are loans that I get at extremely low interest because I'm extremely rich. So I have no income. This is completely fair. We're gonna find out after all this fucking around. Emphasis on the we, being we as in the poor people are gonna find out. The rich people are not gonna find out after fucking around. They'll be just fine. I feel very confident in that. The time in which the rich people find out will be when all of us have already found out. They're gonna find out last. It's almost like the rules are different for some reason. I wonder why. They were always different. We just had a very brief period, like post-World War II, in which there was like a very small amount of middle class being allowed to have a middle class lifestyle, but we're just going back to normal serfdom. It's the natural progression of society. Dictatorships and serfdom are the most natural outcome of like the accumulation of power and wealth, so there's really nothing that weird about it. Get ready for 2008 2 Electric Boogaloo. I hope that the AI companies are so toxic and disliked by the members of the elite, and that because they're new money instead of the old bank money, they won't get bailouts, but I'm not holding my breath on that one. I mean, they're currently lobbying the hell out of the government, but I'm hoping that Sam Altman is so much of a fucking annoying-ass bitch that at least ChatGPT will go, you know, under. The only solace is that if rich people decide to shuttle off this planet, they will soon find out why astronauts need to be in peak physical condition to just survive breaking through the atmosphere. Rich people getting so rich that they live in their delusional bubbles of like science fiction, tech bro bullshit might ultimately be like the only savior we have for this situation. We saw like step one of this with the submersible Titan like fucking imploding. That was an example of the rich people living in a bubble being like, I'm an innovator. I don't need to follow the rules of other people. And then fucking around and finding out that the laws of physics doesn't care how much money you have. So hopefully the rich people will go to outer space and fuck around and find out, learning that the atmosphere or the lack of it doesn't care how much money they have. That would be extremely funny. Sam Altman's suffering brings me joy. Yeah. Sam Altman being like, guys, I think that AI should be a utility. AI needs to be funded by the government because it's a basic utility for mankind is an extremely obvious warning sign that the bubble is about to fucking burst anytime now. And B, Sam Altman in mega cope mode. If someone calls themselves a disruptor, you are ethically obligated to pepper spray them. Well, unlike you, I'm not living in California, so it makes my life much more easy that way, at least. There is a New York Times op-ed piece recently about high agency and pointing out that everybody who uses that word high agency is a fucking asshole tool, essentially. And I was like, I haven't heard the word high agency in my life, but I assume it's coming for me. By the way, this is the front page news of New York Times. Average price of regular unleaded gasoline as of Wednesday. California 5.89 LMAO. I hope you got a fucking Tesla, bitch, because you're gonna need it. You're gonna need it right now. Oh man, I feel so good being in Japan. Feels good, man. Of course, Japan is importing oil and gas and stuff using the Strait of Hormuz themselves, so eventually I'm going to get my ass fucked by the gas prices as well, but at least for now I don't have to go to the pump. Can you send me 10 for gas? I gotta get home from the ball crushing factory. Listen, we just need to limit your ball crushing to an average amount of ball crushing so you can walk home even with your crushed balls. It feels good that I just get to walk places. It's really nice, actually. The ability to have the electric-based transportation called a train. Who would have thought that public transportation was a thing? But honestly, I don't even need to use public transportation most of the time. Everything is in relative walking distance if you're healthy. Because, you know, things are crammed into small spaces here. You don't need a factory to crush them, though. Just use a rock like in the old days. Yeah, the modern-day Zoomers, they need to go to the factory to get their balls crushed properly. Back in my day, we just used a rock. Kids don't know how to do shit on their own. Even before the Strait of Hormuz closed its bussy to business, I don't want to be in America, LMAO. I have to file my taxes soon, and I was looking up all the shit I have to do for like estimated taxes in Japan and for like next year's taxes. But if you're self-employed in America, you need to file like quarterly taxes, right? So I was wondering if I had to start worrying about filing estimated taxes for my Japanese taxes, and it's like, nope. You only need to file those if the government sends you a notification. I was like, oh, that's right, I forgot. I live in a country in which you're not expected to do your own taxes unless, like, you have extremely weird books. It's not a country in which the tax preparation lobby spends millions and millions of dollars every year to make sure that the laws aren't changed for tax preparation so that TurboTax and stuff doesn't go out of business. Think about that. America is a country that literally has fucking Super Bowl ads for TurboTax, for fucking tax prep software, because these companies make so much money off people not being able to navigate the tax system themselves. Nobody in any other country has to do that shit, by the way. And the IRS already knows how much money you make, so it's actually completely meaningless. The only reason you have to do all this extra work every single fucking year is because the tax preparation software companies continuously lobby the government to make sure it's not changed. Awful lot of CBT talk recently, yes. Americans are in a constant state of CBT, at least if they're smart enough to notice it. Are you naturalized? I have Japanese citizenship. Because my mother is Japanese. I'm Japanese by blood. So you're a knower. Unfortunately, sometimes it's better when you don't know. But if you live in two countries and then you get to witness firsthand how much better Japan functions in a lot of aspects, it's not even like better, it's just like it makes sense. Like, it's always fucking hilarious when you hear, like, Japanese people complain about shit. And it's like Japanese people will complain about level of service that in America you'd be, like, sucking the service industry's cock to get that level of service. Like, Japanese people will be like, I called the help hotline and I had to wait 2 minutes. What is wrong with you people? It's like, oh god. The Japanese, they don't know. They don't know how bad it can get. I feel bad for the service workers, LOL, must be brutal. On the customer side, it's great. On the worker side, it sucks. But, I was, chatting up my Sony bank hotline because I'm trying to open a bank account, and it's just like insane how quickly the service worker just like connects you to an operator. It's like, oh shit, that was fast. TurboTax ads are so dystopian once you know the truth, LMAO, especially because they're running during football season, like during the fucking Super Bowl. By the way, you guys don't have to use TurboTax. There's extremely cheap alternatives. I use one called like Free Tax USA. It's like $20 or something for like the entire package, including the state return. Like TurboTax and H&R Block, any of them that have advertisements during the Super Bowl are going to cost you like $100 to $200 just if you want to file. Yeah, Tax-Free USA, I use that. Tax-Free USA is not free. I think the main package is free. I can't remember what you get charged for, but I'm willing to pay $10 or whatever they cost me for the service. I mean, that's like it's an amount of money that makes sense. Shit doesn't have to be free, it just needs to be like somewhat affordable. Federal is free with them, but not state, yeah. I have to pay money for pretty much any software I file, because the ones that are like a individual return is free. It becomes expensive the moment you have to attach like a Schedule C or something like that, which I have to do obviously because I'm self-employed, so I have to pay way more if I use shit like TurboTax, but with Free Tax USA it's very cheap. Oh, and I've had to pay for this mistake that my state taxes have been made on the state side, not my mistake. They incorrectly said that I hadn't paid like my taxes, and I had to like bring up the receipts and screenshots that I had paid my estimated taxes, and I had to go back and forth with them for like a 6-month process in which they were like, did we get it? And I had to fucking fax them these papers and shit, and they finally realized that they had made their own mistake. But then I still got like a check this year to pay like $15 in interest and stuff, so they're still making the mistake even though they were the one who's made the mistake. It fucking sucks. But I'm just gonna pay the interest because it's like $10 even though, because it's not worth my hassle at this point. I'm so glad I'm fucking out of America. Hopefully I won't have to return to America permanently, because I don't want to have to file taxes with the American tax system ever again. Why not sue him? We would have helped you out. Because I'm willing to pay $10, that's why. Just to get them off my back. You need to pay federal and state taxes on top of the tax on anything you buy. If you own a property and a car, you guys are getting butt-fucked on every fucking angle. Well, you need to understand that America is the richest country in the world, but all of that money is owned by a very small percentage of people who have professional accountants who work very, very hard so that they don't ever have to pay taxes. So it's up to us normal people to pay the entire federal budget and $100 billion it costs every day to bomb Iran. These smart bombs don't come out of nowhere. If only there were rich people in America to pay for these things. Oh wait. We just have a totally different system here, yes. And America could have the European system where the government keeps track of your income immediately, because the IRS already has to keep track of your income to make sure that you're not stealing and you're probably paying your taxes. However, this does not happen. We still have to maintain this system in which every year we have to go through like many hours of work and to hire accountants and, you know, these tax preparation software to pay our taxes to the government, because if they change the system, then all of these industries would go out of business. And they make sure to lobby the government to not change it, specifically for this reason. It's awesome. But it isn't my problem soon. This is the last time it will be my problem, unless I go back to the United States for more than a year. Are you suggesting that we should not bootlick our government as our state reps and senators take their trip to Disney World? I mean, my state taxes aren't even that bad. It's a wonderful country so long as you aren't living here. Have you noticed that Japan is having like this weird Twitter moment with America? They're posting all this like barbecue stuff, and that has caused like other posts, and like Japan as a whole is like glazing America right now. It's all like Bro, I know you like barbecue, Japan, but America fucking sucks. It's high-key funny. Lindsey Graham posted an AI pic of him with a rifle after being filmed with a bubble wand at Disney World. Was it the same image? Did he like alter the image so he was holding a rifle, or did he just like produce an image to make himself seem more masculine? Lindsey Graham has got to be the most feminine female that's not a female that we have in politics. Just has always looked like an old woman. Name is Lindsay. It's just like such typical Republican politics in which like a party obsessed with being masculine. Also one of their like biggest, you know, senators also is like extremely female looking. It's very weird. Looks like a turtle man? No, you're thinking that's the other guy you're thinking of. That's Mitch McConnell. Lindsey Graham looks like an old lady. Mitch McConnell looks like a turtle. One of his hands says fingers LMAO. Okay, we have to look this up now. Lindsey Graham AI rifle pic. Post picture with a gun. After being spotted at Disney World amid shot down. This is his photo. I don't know, I think he's supposed to be... This is supposed to be like his fourth finger right here, I think. Guys, look how masculine I am, except there's no situation in which you would like put your finger here when you're holding the gun like this. So yeah, it's pretty obviously AI. Pretty funny. Him with his slack-jawed mouth open as he's surrounded by other Disney adults. So, for the person who was confused, Lindsey Graham. This is Lindsey Graham. Known for basically looking like an old woman. He has some extremely effeminate looking pictures where he basically looks like just an aging lesbian. And Mitch McConnell is the turtle. Just absolute turtle face right here. Oh, he died in 2026? Or did he retire in 2026? Is he dead? No, he's just... No, he's not dead. He always looked like a fucking turtle. Even in his high school era. These people don't retire? Yeah, they just keep on going until they feel super confident that they're going to lose the next election. And then they somewhat retire, but that's about it. Honestly, it's not fair toward turtles, and it's not fair to lizard people when we compare Mark Zuckerberg or Mitch McConnell to turtles or lizards. I like lizards and I like turtles, which is not something I can say when it comes to our fucking Republican senators. It would be exhilarating to just brutalize his face out of boredom. By brutalize his face, I assume you mean have him suck your cock. Am I right, bros? Nothing like sexy Mitch McConnell choking on your fat dick. Nothing gets me harder than imagining that those old lips of an octogenarian opening up. I've seen more tenderness from rattlesnakes than Zuckerberg. It's crazy that Zuckerberg, out of all the AI people, is the one that's like properly married and stuff. Apparently he's like the least, like, this guy is on a shit ton of ketamine out of like the groups of like Peter Thiel and Elon and stuff like that, so Zuck is more like a zombie, a mockery of a human. Might have been human once, but now more like a corpse. Speaking of corpses and tech bros, I mean, this is the type that we're talking about right here. It really looks like a bloated, like, waterlogged corpse that they fished out of the river after, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks, and the gases have started to build up inside. I just sat down to eat, come on. I'm sorry. This is just a stream in which shirtless Elon can show up out of nowhere to ambush you. I do wonder how you achieve that build. I think you need to use a lot of drugs and not like the bodybuilding time. I think it's a lot of ketamine. The botched Captain America cover X physique. It does kind of look like he's just like exploding from inside. Bloat maxing. Hold on, I have to piss. Pee time. Ah! 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 Yeah. Hold on, let me do some squats. Here we go. Self-weight squats. 1. Two. Yeah. 3. Oh, yeah. 4. Let's go. Yeah. I gotta get that blood flowing. Feel the burn. I highly recommend doing squats. Squats are really helpful. I started doing squats when I got to Japan because I wasn't going to the gym anymore. And it's made a huge difference on like my running performance and like my health in general. Just doing like 100 squats per day, just using your body weight. It really, I can feel the knee muscles, the muscles inside my knee getting much more tough. I can hold like the squatting posture longer. How many do you do in a set? I don't know. It depends on the day. I don't like having like too much regimentation in my stuff. I just do it based on feel, because I don't want to make it feel like I'm doing something, you know. I want it to be like more of a natural occurrence. So after I eat and I can feel my blood pressure, not my blood pressure, my blood sugar going up, and I don't feel like going outside and walking around, I instead do like 100 squats maybe. Get those squats in. It really is just one of those core movements that we have to do as humans, so... Welcome, Raider. Single Raider coming in. No dumbbells at home? I just moved to my aunt's apartment. You think she has fucking dumbbells? Of course not. I'm probably gonna have to join a gym though, because it's gonna get hot, and I sure as fuck aren't gonna be able to go around and run around outside when it gets hot, so... But I'm thinking of maybe moving before then. Basically every Japanese gym, if you want to join it, they force you to pay like a month for just to like join it. Like, so you can't just like jump between gyms, so... Maybe if I run early in the morning, I won't have to join a gym, I don't know. Just run outside? You have no idea how fucking unbearably hot it is. Well, maybe you do, but I ain't just gonna just run outside. It's too damn hot. How are you fellas? We're doing good. Go find gym rat hotties? I will not. There's a treadmill if you want to run inside. Not in this apartment, there isn't. Anyways, running is, it's not overrated, but as you get older, when you get to become my age, I think the strength training becomes more important than the, aerobic exercise, although you have to really do both, honestly. Anybody who's either just like, oh, you don't need to do this, or you need to don't do that, it's like, you actually have to do all of them, unfortunately. You have to be working your cardio, you need to be working your anabolic muscles and stuff as well. As a person who lives below someone with a treadmill, please don't. Thunk, 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 thunk. That's not the sound of the treadmill, that's me having sex with the Japanese Christmas cake housewife. Just kidding, it's definitely the treadmill. No one's having sex around here. This apartment I'm living in right now is super quiet. Calisthenics are your friend. Yeah, you really don't need weights. 99% of people don't need weights. They just need to do calisthenics and resistance training using their own body weight. You can do a lot of resistance just putting your body in weird postures, so... Maybe my neighbor had a baby with a futon of his own. Thunk, funk, thunk. Squeak, 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 squeak. After 7 hours in a chair drawing, I can attest every bone in my body is just crunchy. When I do squats right now, I can hear a lot of nice popping noises as I activate all the nitrogen bubbles between my joints. But that's what it means to get old. It just do be like that. Weights are to get big, calisthenics are if you want to be flexible. Calisthenics strength is like actual usable strength. Like, it's because it's your own body weight. It's using your body and putting it in positions that you might have to put it in if you want to go out and like do things in real life. They're not going to make your muscles massive and round like Arnold, but you could say that 100 bodyweight squats or 200 bodyweight squats is more relevant exercise than doing like 10 weighted squats and stuff like that. It's more likely to help you. No wonder Marines do it? Yeah. If you watch, like, military training shit, a lot of it is just body weight. Or, like, jumping jacks. Like, just, like, crouching and jumping, crouching and jumping. A lot of our culture of fitness is centered around the stuff that bodybuilders were doing in the 70s, and we haven't necessarily grown out of it. And weights are kind of expensive, you know, getting them transported to your house and stuff like that, so you don't need to buy them. There's plenty of weight training you can do in the house. I checked my push-up number, and I used to be able to do about like 40 or 50 push-ups, just like normal push-ups. And the last time I checked, I was at like 25 at the most, so the loss of muscle as you hit your 40s is very real. So I'm trying to get that number back up. I'm definitely not going to be like, oh, I need my weights to, you know, properly get stronger. I need to, you know, I can't train without weights. That's bullshit. If I can only do 25 push-ups, then I sure as fuck better keep on just doing, like, body weight exercises until I can at least do, like, 50 or something. There's still much room for growth. Can't you develop that dad strength? Well, I haven't been trying very hard to, you know, maintain this stuff. I've just been maintaining shit on like a staying healthy kind of level. In one go? Yeah. Those like health challenges who are like, can you do 100 push-ups in a day? It's like, yeah, no shit you can do 100 push-ups in a day. Just do like sets of 10. over the course of like 10 times per day. Anyone can fucking do that, but I guess the people who are completely out of shape can't even do that, so... I have a great makeshift 20 pounds weight at the moment, can't drop it though, like the lunkheads. I mean, the lunkheads shouldn't be dropping their weight in the first place. Have you guys been to Planet Fitness where they have the fucking lunk alarm? Which is just this random button meant to intimidate people. Also, you can definitely drop your 20-pound weight. You're just not supposed to. Some people have dropped their 20-pound weights. And there have been some consequences, but not necessarily for their floor. I never rang the lunk alarm, but I should have.
All right, guys, listen. Jokes are all well and good. I'd like to take a couple minutes right now and talk about something that is important to me. And I will preface this by saying there's a lot of people right now who say that stand-up comedians should just stick to comedy and not talk about anything else. I disagree. I think that stand-up comedy doesn't always have to be funny. Stand-up comedy doesn't always have to be entertaining. Sometimes it's about speaking truth to power. Sometimes it's about pointing out wrongs in the world, even though it might not be popular. So please, indulge me. With all the terrible things going on in America right now, and you know exactly what I'm fucking talking about. With all the terrible things going on in this country right now, the thing that drives me the most crazy are the people who see all this awful stuff happening and they still flip out over the little things. My biggest pet peeve in America today are people who see all this horrible stuff going on and yet they still overreact to shit that just does not matter. For example, have you ever dropped a baby? Holy shit, do people overreact. You drop a baby in America today, I swear, people hit the roof before the baby even touches the floor. And it's not a big deal. How do I know? Because I do it all the time. In fact, I don't think I've ever held a baby to completion.
Who is this hag? This is Anthony Jeselnik.
And you might be thinking, Anthony, how could you drop a baby? You ever held a baby? How could you not?
We need more baby abuse jokes.
It's so easy. It's a two-step process. Maybe less. Should you ask Anthony, why would anyone ever let you hold their baby? The answer is simple. Negligence. I love it. It's a hobby. The only negative, the only drawback as far as I'm concerned, the embarrassment. People try to shame you when you drop their baby. Even though I almost always make it look like an accident.
This is 5 minutes of baby dropping jokes, by the way.
That's why this is so great. You ever do this? You ever drop a baby? And then scoop it right back up before anybody sees you? No shit. Best feeling in the world.
Best feeling in the world.
You just hand the baby back and no one is the wiser.
He has a point.
Especially not that baby. Happened to me just last weekend. I was at a party. One of my friends came up and said, Anthony, I gotta go to the bathroom. Will you hold?
Honestly, I received a worse reaction dropping the Torah than dropping a baby. Both of which, when I imagine them, I imagine Hystrixia doing both like in the same sitting. Where she's like, "Aw, shit, I dropped the baby, aw, man." And then to make the situation better, she's like, "Hey, watch this," and then she drops the fucking Torah. And everyone's like, "Oh!" Not the book. Trying to figure out Aki's hairstyle right now. Not kidding, by the way, on the Torah part. I assumed you weren't. I guess it depends whether you're doing it as an accident or whether you're doing it like a drop the mic kind of moment. Like you read a passage out of the Torah and like you were really satisfied with the way it came out, so you're like, and that's commandment number 19, and you just like fucking drop the book like you were leaving the stage. That would be a pretty badass thing to do, I guess. What do you think about the Chainsaw Man ending? As authors, we should not do dream endings. It was all a dream endings. That's my general opinion. You're basically telling the audience that all the time they spent reading this story was a waste of time, so you should not do that, is my opinion. I don't think it's a particularly controversial opinion. You know, even Tezuka Osamu did, it was an all a dream ending for his first serial. I bet no one has read this, but I read it because it was in my library just as like a historical document of Tezuka Osamu's first serialized manga. It was just a story of like some kid goes on fantastical adventures, and at the end, I assume it was canceled and he didn't know how to end it, so he was just like, the kid just wakes up and is like, oh, it's all a dream. The most convenient way to end any story, of course, which is why you probably shouldn't do it. Nobody in here has read Tezuka. The closest you get is Nagai. I'm sure some people have read Tezuka, right? People, raise your hand if you've read Tezuka, not you, Hystrixia. You're not allowed to join in on the conversations of have you consumed this thing or not. I read M ages ago. I have not read M. A lot of the Tezuka stuff I read was like autobiographical works, actually. I read the Incest Tezuka one. See if I can find images of this, but there's a very specific Tezuka short. He had a lot of shorts. But the one that really stayed with me was Tezuka Osamu. This one. Yeah, there's images of it. Oh, will they actually show it? It's about this young kid, i.e. Shota, and he finds Sexo Ghost, who cleans the house, but he has no mommy, so there is literal like booby scenes in it where she does good boy and lets him stick his face in her titties. Tezuka was drawing heartwarming, dommy mommy, spooky ghost girlfriend, Shota, One Shota content. Except what year was this? I don't know. I don't think I'm going to be able to find the year it was, but I'm assuming it was the 70s. What example of "it was all a dream" ever worked? That's a good question. It has to be theorized that it was all a dream in the beginning, so people know that they're going into "it's all a dream," so that when they get told it's all a dream, they don't feel like they were cheated out of the experience. You can't have a story that's based in reality and then end it with "it was all a dream" and not have people get pissed off. Like, I'm forgetting the English title for the Zelda game. In Zelda, the Zelda game, and the Japanese title is Yume Mirushima, which is like the Dreaming Island. What was the Zelda game? I'm fucking blanking. In which it's all a dream. In the Japanese, in the subtitle, it's all a dream is baked into the title, so... All in all, it's a pretty stupid... Yeah, Link's Awakening. It's a little more subtle in the English title. In the Japanese, it's just the Dream Island, is like literally what it's called. The Game Boy one, yeah. Which they had to remake, because Nintendo is incapable of producing new content in 2026, but yes. Was Chainsaw Man's ending worse than Attack on Titans? I don't know. I didn't fuck with Attack on Titan, so I didn't even get to the ending. So for that reason alone, I guess Chainsaw Man is better than Attack on Titan, because I don't give a fuck about Attack on Titan. I feel like Attack on Titan is just like misery porn. It's... If you're young, if you're like a teenager, I think you really appreciate misery porn, because you think like you're seeing something extremely profound or shit. Like you're in the mood to deal with misery. But when you become an adult, my age, you know for a fact that the world is miserable enough without having to consume more misery porn in your off time. So it doesn't become as valuable. It almost defines NTR. I know of the infamous line of I don't want to be forgotten. I want somebody to, what's her name, to remember me after I'm gone, blah, 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 as he's crying and pissing and shitting himself. I haven't consumed much much Attack on Titan, but I feel that the author found a lot of success at the early stages of taking the trope of courageous characters and showing how, like, actually pathetic and, like, having them piss and shit themselves and cry at their last moments in a really pathetic way as, like, a profound humanistic moment. But the author, like, found that they could do this as, like, a plot point really early on and then kept on going back to that well multiple times, seems to be what happened. I've seen a lot of people say and complain about that, where basically he found one move that, like, really worked, and then, like, he did that multiple times. He also says that he doesn't want Mikasa to be with another man. Too bad. I've consumed 10,000 pages of Mikasa taking big black cock porn, so the internet disagrees. I want Mikasa to wait at least 10 years before she even moves on crying. Based on Mikasa's personality from, like, the 5 minutes of Attack on Titan anime I've watched, she seems like the type of person that wouldn't move on at all. So I think he would be successful unless I was completely misinterpreting her character. She seems like a very low-effort individual when it comes to socializing, so I kind of feel like she doesn't move on. But there's a possibility that the author emphasizes the NTR concept more, and she does move on just to, you know, piss off the reader base. Honestly, I don't give a fuck about Attack on Titan. It just didn't speak to me. Honestly, there haven't been a lot of anime that have been super popular in recent years that have really, like, activated my brain cells. I do give Demon Slayer a lot of credit, though, for just being, like, a straight-up shonen, but also having a different tone as from a lot of other shonen as well. Like, it has all the structures of a shonen, but it also has a lot of historical and familial themes and stuff like that that other shonen haven't successfully been able to integrate into the genre. Attack on Titan just did Claymore's twist worse. I haven't finished Claymore either. I only cared about the author when he was doing Angel Densetsu, not Claymore. Claymore's twist is that these women are supposed to be horrible monstrosities, but we all want to stick our penis in them, which isn't really much of a twist. It's just the true nature of humanity. Claymore is like, haha, surely you do not want to have sex with this monster woman, am I right? And we're like, no, you're wrong. Stories really aren't about the twists. This is the most depressing stream. How is it depressing? Because it's me talking about anime I haven't watched. Why you gotta remind me that Attack on Titan had a shit ending? Alright, let's talk about stuff that had good endings. Then. What had an absolutely amazing fucking banging ending, guys? Like, you know, our favorite manga, One Piece. Code Geass. The best ending is never ending? No, it is not. That's how you get shit like Conan. Monsters ending? I haven't finished a single Urasawa Naoki story. I always start reading like the first 2 volumes because they're like sitting in like a ramen place while I'm waiting for my ramen to be cooked. And then like I never get to the ending. Pretty much all of my favorite anime have horrible endings. The problem is that if the anime is super popular, they have to like add more content to it, even if it got a great ending. Like, I thought Madoka Magica was like a great 12-episode anime with a great ending. But then it was so popular, you have to keep on going. End of Evangelion had an iconic ending, whether you like it or not, but then we got like 4 more movies of Anno shitting stuff out. Eureka 7 had a great ending, yes. Boy Gets Girl, what more could you ask for? Well, what we got was a sequel, which people didn't watch because it was bad. Again, the problem of successful thing. Boy Gets Girl, that's actually a like Corallian alien weird multi-cell organism thing. Eureka 7 is just great just because I love the fucking missile dodging Itano Circus stuff going on. Best type of girl? I wasn't able to finish the 3rd ending of what is it, AC6 before I left for Japan. So I didn't get my gaseous cloud female girlfriend ending for Armored Core 6. I have to finish that. E7 is great. Sekaike. Do you guys even know what Sekaike means? I feel like that definition gets thrown around. I wouldn't really call Eureka 7 to be called the Sekaike, but maybe it would be. Sekaike is hard to define because, just by definition, the main character, the plot, the entire world is just supposed to revolve around the main character. So, Sekaike being like, this is notable because the entire world is set up around the main character isn't like a really defining feature if you think about it. You poor thing, I'm living a hard life, guys. I need your money to make me feel better. Please donate. Please sub and donate, guys. I still want garlic steak pasta right now. No, carbs are bad for you. You shouldn't eat that. Just kidding, I'll eat a shit ton of pasta. I haven't had pasta since I came to Japan. I feel the carbs activate my blood sugar even more than when I eat, like, processed sugar. Nothing activates my blood sugar more than pasta. After I eat some pasta, I feel like I can go run a marathon, or more like I feel like I have to go run a marathon because I can feel my blood sugar fucking spike so hard. It's like, oh, I have to move, oh my god, this is super bad. Be good pay piggies and help the NEET maintain his arduous lifestyle. Being a true NEET really sucks. I was playing a lot of video games yesterday. And the day before that, because I was trying to finish Rogue Legacy 2, as I mentioned at the beginning of the stream. So I hadn't drawn for like a solid, I don't know, 12 hours. And I was like, damn, this shit is boring. I don't know how everybody else who doesn't have like a long-term project in their life handle it. It shows you how much I've offloaded a lot of my satisfaction of being alive onto getting better at drawing and like getting better at manga and having like a goal of, I don't know, becoming a, you know, unrealistically rich mangaka someday or some shit like that, because like just playing video games I can no longer find satisfaction in that anymore. It just feels too limiting as a source of accomplishment. NEETs have projects and advanced lollygagging. Some of them don't. Maybe you're not a spiritual one as we thought then. Yeah, I'm not really a spiritual NEET at this point. Although NEET and shut-in are different. And so is unemployed. If I was a true NEET, I'd be like, I'm getting better at drawing, but then not actually draw. I'd claim to my parents that this is part of my plan. But like deep down, I'd live with the crippling anxiety of like knowing I'm gonna fail and not actually working on it. Instead, I actually do the thing, so just by definition... I mean, by definition, I'm not a NEET because I have a job in which I make money, so I'm just working from home. BaalBud has truly fallen. My NEET hero wasn't a NEET at all. There are some whose only goal is to bedrot. BB is not one of those, yeah. I had my true NEET phase when I graduated in 2009 from college. And I couldn't get a job, obviously. For those of you who don't know, there was a little thing going on in 2009 called the fucking recession. So I went to Japan and I did a few storyboards that I took to my Japanese editor at Shonen Jump. And he was like, okay, these are good. Now I want you to fix them in like 10 days and bring them back to me. I was like, oh fuck. He's giving me like the first test of whether I want to become a pro and being like, oh, you have to work on a schedule. You have a deadline now. I'm like, oh shit. And I immediately just dropped my entire dream of becoming mangaka. I was like, there's no way I can do this. I give up. And this was before I had a tablet or shit. So I stopped drawing. I was just in Japan trying to find some kind of job. And I think there was a solid 6-month period in which my main source of accomplishment and satisfaction was just like playing Final Fantasy XI. That was like my true NEET phase. I stopped looking for jobs. I was just sitting in the apartment. I log on to Final Fantasy XI. Grind my levels. And I'm, to be honest, I'm really glad I had that period in my life. Because if you want to be a NEET playing Final Fantasy XI in 2026, you wouldn't be able to do that. That time slot is over. We can't go back to that era. There is no more Final Fantasy XI, not in the format it was in 2010. It still sucks with job market 2026. I mean, we're entering a new recession. The investor money is still flowing into AI, but if we didn't have like $1 trillion of AI investment, we would be in a recession right now. The AI money is just masking it. The games industry has been experiencing a decade-long apocalypse. I'm tired of this anxiety. The games industry is like half just gambling industry right now. All the claims about how video games, the industry is growing, half of it is just like, actually, those are just gotcha. They're just differing forms of stimulating the gambling frontal cortex of people with addictive personalities. "2008 Part 2, now with more dystopia and existential dread." The difference is that there seems to be more money among the stupid-ass investors than there was in 2008, and it's going to take longer for people to be like, oh shit. Although, like, we're going to get some IPOs soon, apparently, so that might be a good opportunity for the bubble to pop. But yeah, the money is still flowing into a million dumb AI projects, so we haven't entered the full recession mode yet. At least there's some good indie games yet. I mean, the indie game industry is basically what the video game industry was back when I was a kid. I had 4chan name this game, and I haven't downloaded it yet. There's a demo. But it looks like my old PS1 games. This one, Astra Libra Revision. This was made by like one guy over the course of 20 years. And I was like, shit. It looks like Valkyrie Profile. Oh my god, look at those big titties. Holy fuck. So this is going to be my next project, I'm assuming. But it's also a 100-hour game, apparently. So if I do start playing it, that means I won't be doing any drawing. So I'm resisting for now. I'll tell you, I'll give you my review of it once I actually start playing it. But basically now with video game making tools, like one person can make a game as long as he's willing to spend 20 hours on it, or excuse me, 20 years on it. Stream it? Yeah. We'll see. I mean, I could stream it right now because I have the demo. I haven't downloaded it yet. I mean, the thing is that a modern indie game in 2026 offers way more content than a quote-unquote properly published game in, like, 2002. Like, there weren't any games in 2002 which you could play for, like, 200 hours like you could play Slay the Spire, right? And, of course, games... So, from that aspect, video games are still in a very good place. As long as you're not fucking with AAA gaming. If you want your traditional AAA gaming experience from like the 2010s, that seems well done at this point. Me 215 hours into Mugenics, still finding new synergies. I can't fucking do Mugenics. I know people are like, you should play Mugenics, but I didn't like Binding of Isaac specifically for the art style and art direction, and I don't like Mugenics for the exact same reason, so I'm not going to force myself to play it. But yes, Mugenics is another example of this. I could play Tony Hawk for 300 hours, bro. Yeah, but you would also get, like, Medal of Honor. Tony Hawk is more of an exception, not the rule. I get it, you don't like the art style, but it's the best game I've played this decade. The art style is like 70% of the game for me, so I don't care how good the gameplay is. I'm still not playing it. Maybe if it's really cheap on sale. I didn't like Slay the Spire's art style as well, but I still enjoyed it. But I got it for free on PS Plus, so I'm not buying it full price though. I'll buy a game in which I don't care about the gameplay very much for full price, even if as long as I like the presentation. For me, the presentation is still more important than the gameplay. People are like, no, you're not a real gamer if you don't emphasize gameplay over everything. But I'm like, nope, I'm an artist. If I don't like the presentation of shit, then I'm not gonna fuck with it, at least not at full price. Anyways, there's gonna be a Steam sale in which it's like half price in like 8 months, so... Buying games at full price is something you do only if, like, you're fully on board with something and you really want to honor them. Insert rant about WoW's grass. WoW's grass color is too saturated. I've made this complaint many times. The greens are too saturated. Just to press, I have to get the Switch 2 for Fire Emblem. Wait, they're not allowing the Switch the same game on... It's a Switch 2 exclusive for fucking Fire Emblem? Are you serious? That's so fucking stupid, oh my god. Obviously they just want to pump their console. They want to make it so it's mandatory, but that's stupid. I'm sure they have a lot of extensive, extremely taxing graphics in which it absolutely requires them to have the Switch 2, am I right, guys? Because if there's one thing we know about Fire Emblem, it's that it's how demanding it is of your GPU with all those still portraits of anime girls that you're having children with. It's a baby TRPG, it really is. But it's one of the older TRPGs, so they can get away with fucking, you know, rock, paper, scissors mechanics. Look, guys. Axe beats... What is it? It's axe beats sword? I can't remember the combos. What is it? Is it spear beats sword? Sword beats axe. Axe beats spear? I don't know how this works. Fire Emblem is literally the first one? Bro, there's like chess and stuff before that. Sword beats axe, spear beats sword. I guess it kind of makes sense. It doesn't really, but whatever. Axe beats nothing because people hate axe users. Average axe user is like... This is the average axe user experience. Hauntingly accurate. Name axe user who isn't this. The only other axe user you have is this. The these are the two axe archetypes. You either are tiny, super small, and have massive giga fucking axe, or you have to be big and have also big axe. And you will immediately lose unless it's a hentai, and then in that case you get to have sex with female knight. If it's not a hentai, you immediately lose to MC-kun. One or the other. Hilda, LMAO. It's funny that you immediately say Hilda, but we had, like, for example, Priscilla many years before that, and then also, like, a countless number of, excuse me for the Elon. Tails, Priscilla. No, not Guardian Tales, you dumb motherfucker. I guess I have to put in the Symphonia part here. Oh my god. What the fuck is going on with my memory? Jesus. No wonder shit is taking time. Free up memory, 71%. Why doesn't it just free up memory on its own? Is it Precia, not Priscilla? Precia. Free that shit up, bitch. I believe she had a big ass. A big ass axe. Yeah, her axe isn't massive giga size, but it's still relatively chunky. Guys, don't worry. She might look like a loli, but she's actually... I forgot how old she was. I think she was like in her 80s, maybe. It's what we call... We actually need to think of a word for, the old cunny. She's only in her 30s? That's even better. We don't get many 30-year-old lolis. Loli baba? Yes, that's the Japanese term. But she's not a baba if she's in her 30s. You know what we don't have much of? Hand axes. The double hand axes. We got that in Neo, once again showing that Neo is a god-tier video game. Everyone in that game is a smoke show. Once again, Vanillaware properly appealing to our cock. Eugenics would be a better game if instead of like weird, deformed cat-like things, we got cute girls, but alas, that video game creator is incapable of doing that. Then it would just be eugenics. So is the point of eugenics to be breeding specific traits in your cat population so that they become more powerful? Because I feel like that's also a video game concept that would be better off if done with human females. We need to breed the big titty gene in our anime girlfriends. I see flat titty gene. I take up concentrated breeding efforts to make sure that that gene dies out and is never passed down. There will only be big titty females in my squad. No offense to any flat titty females that we have watching this stream, but I'm sure there are no such people. Everybody in this stream has massive 15-inch cocks and huge double D milkers. It's a well-known fact. That's just the BaalBud audience right there. Sometimes it's even the same person. Massive double D milkers with huge futa cock. You take all of your cat corpses and give them to a zombie hobo. That doesn't sound like breeding. That sounds like something else. Shout out to Fudas in chat. Yes. Do we have any Fudas in chat, guys? Any dommy mommies with thick cocks? No. Okay, I'll play Mugenics when it's on sale, but not until it's on sale. I think I made the jaw a little too sharp. He has a really sharp jaw, but like I can't make it too sharp. It's very hard to maintain the balance. The jawline is such a hard thing to manage because it can really change the impression of the character if you don't get it right. This is why this drawing is taking so much time, because I keep on being like, no, this doesn't look close enough to Fujimoto Tatsuki's original art. The Dami Mommy Futas are too busy getting the bag. It really do be like that. The demand is too high for the Dami Mommy Futas. Men want one thing and it's disgusting. It really is disgusting in this case. It's for a powerful woman with large penis to fuck their asshole. Man, I'll say this once and I'll say it again. The woman who figured out the Findom cheat, is there any bigger cheat in life than being able to successfully set yourself up as a Findom dominatrix, where literally the entire appeal is for men to give you money, and the men are like, "Oh, please, mistress, please allow me to give you more money. Also, I'll never ever have to actually like meet this person because it's all online." That shit is insane. Women figured it out thousands of years ago? Wrong. The women thousands of years ago were also expected to like die in childbirth and shit. Or at least like... priestesses had to like pretend like they were predicting the future by like throwing sheep guts in a fire or something, okay? There were also priests who also pretended to do that. The whole Findom where the entire appeal is like, I'm gonna take your money, and the guy's like, oh thank God she's gonna take my money, is absolutely insane. Findom sucks definitionally, but it especially sucks because the ones who do it are the worst women. Well, let's see if we can find some good Findom services right now. Hold on. Findom services offered. People also ask, do you have to pay tax on Findom? Can you use Cash App for Findom? What's the answer to this? Yes, Findom's financial dominators are required to pay taxes on their earnings. Income derived from financial domination is considered taxable self-employment or business income. What if you're the one who's paying? Is all the money I waste on my Findominatrix tax deductible? Should I file an individualized return and itemize all the Findom services I pay for? Medium. My first week as a Findom, what no one told me. I didn't plan on becoming a Findom. Oh shit, it's not actually gonna let me read it. That sucks. How to become a Findom, your complete guide. Financial domination is one of the most psychologically driven niche in the creator economy. Paypigs do not pay because they received a service. They pay because being made to pay is what they want. For the right person, the dynamic is also a business that generates serious income. This guide covers everything you need to start your Findom practice, what the dynamic is, how to build your persona, how to set up on premium chat, and how to attract and keep the Paypig clients who make it sustainable. Findom is a power exchange where a submissive voluntarily gives money or gifts to a dominant as an expression of submission. The payment is not a fee for a service. It is the dynamic itself. The Paypig experience is something specific from being made to pay. The loss of control, the act of tribute, the feeling of being owned by the dominant they have chosen to submit to. This distinction matters for how you position yourself. You are not selling a product or offering consulting. You are the authority that Paypigs seek out, complete for, and pay to access. The framing shapes everything from your profile language to how you open a session and how you run it. You hear that, chat? Are you enjoying the loss of control as I force you to give me money? Like, how the fuck do you convince people to do that shit? Like, how do you distinguish yourself from other, you know, women who are like, give me money? Like, I would love to interview not like the dominatrix, but like the guy who paid for this shit and how they chose one specific dominatrix over another. Like, there's got to be a shit ton of these women who are like, I'm offering Findom. Like, how are you like, this is the person I'm going to be giving all my money to for no reason? That means having to maintain contact with someone I only care about in a financial sense. I mean, that's what women have been doing for hundreds of years, like you said previously. Except they usually had to, like, provide sex and stuff previously, but now they don't have to do that. Huge part of it is looks. Isn't that what AI is for, guys? Come on. Just produce, or, like, use someone else's Instagram. Use someone else's photos and be like, look, I'm this hot. Now give me money. Find the type of woman you want to be bullied by. That's the difficult part. I don't want to be bullied by the women. I want to be the one doing the bullying. You could say I have Findommed my mother for 40 plus years by living off of her budget and living in her house. I'm the most powerful dominatrix toward my parents. I've Findommed the shit out of my mother when she paid for my college tuition, that's for sure. I got a little bit of FAFSA, but... And I did my own... I worked... I had a little bit of student loan debt, but my mother supported a large percentage of it. Your mom Findommed herself? Yeah. She believed in the importance of education, and there's nothing that is more Findom than paying for education in America. Like, holy shit. I don't have any student loan debt. The funny thing is that, as insanely overpriced as tuition felt it was at the time, it's like half of what it is right now. That's the funny part. In like 2006, we were like, goddamn, college tuition is so expensive. But if, like, you could get the college tuition that I was paying back then, right now, you'd be like, oh shit, that's so affordable. It's so much worse now. It's almost doubled, I think. And worth less, yes, because there's so many people getting college degrees as well. Not that my college degree actually helped me, but... Financially dominated by higher education, just as Reagan intended. Unfortunately, all these people going to school were not proper pay pigs, so as soon as Biden was like, maybe you don't have to pay your tuition, everyone was like, oh, that's so cool. Proper pay pig would be like, no, Biden, why are you depriving me of my opportunity to pay student loans for the next 30 years? Thank God I don't have any loan debt as I'm about to graduate. My frugal ass and dad letting me live rent-free at his home. If you have parents that you can tolerate and they can tolerate you, you really should try and stay living in their house for as long as possible. That's why I have savings and I can live alone right now on the cheap-ass Japanese rent, because I was able to build up a large savings specifically because I wasn't paying rent. Rent really is just a shit ton of money on a monthly basis, just leaving your pocket and just going to your landlord. And you have to start paying at a super early age if you're going to do the American, like you're supposed to get out of the house at 18 bullshit. So if you can take that savings and just be putting it in, you know, the stock market. Well, not right now, you don't want to put it in the stock market, but when the stock market regains its sensibilities, you can put it in the stock market. And like the difference in paying interest or getting interest on your savings versus letting it go out the door for the fucking rent is it's fucking huge. So it does help that a lot of things I used to love has gone to shit to even want to put money in, video games being the one. Yes, I haven't bought a video game full price at like a $60 AAA game in many, many years now. I think the last game I bought full price was Armored Core 6, and I was kind of like sick, so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna dump $60 on this, and we're just gonna chill and game at home right when it came out. But that was about it. The enshittification ultimately will result in people not spending money anymore, but corporations have forgotten the most basic part about capitalism. Despite living in a cyberpunk hellscape dystopia already, they still haven't invented technology that can force people to pay for stuff unless you're one of the few lucky corporations that have been able to set themselves up as like a utility for electricity or whatever. Electricity or water and shit. Those guys are in the clear. They've really got it solved. But everybody else who actually still has to provide non-essential services, they can only enshittify so much. Which is why they're all trying to become utilities, of course. The last full game I bought, Pokopia. It's so weird that back then, as being a kid, I would have this hopeful look that if I had money, I would spend it on video games. Now it's the opposite. The funny thing is that you have no time when you become an adult to play the video games now that you have money. So then you have the huge backlog. As a kid, you have no money, but lots of time. Although I will say that video games back then, I already said this, but one video game would last way shorter. So half of it was me having more time as a kid, but I still have a lot of time if I actually wanted to play tons of video games. It's just that the video games back then, if it lasted like 70 hours, that was a long game, but nowadays there's a ton of video games that last more than 150 hours or so. Pretty common. Then I put 600 hours cumulatively into Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing is the Call of Duty for females. They're doing repetitive tasks with very slight variation. Instead of trying to get the gold camo for their AK, you're collecting fish to put in your aquarium or whatever. Or putting specific animal neighbors in a ghetto. I probably have at least 600 hours in Call of Duty. Back when Call of Duty was a very important part of our childhood. I was so proud of my Call of Duty accomplishments. Like getting high KDs and getting like 80 kill games and stuff like that. There was like an entire class of YouTuber created off of people being good at Call of Duty as well. What a time. I made a vaporwave town. It was during the pandemic, so talking to friends while playing AC helped. There's too many games that start with AC. Assassin's Creed, Animal Crossing, Armored Core, Ace Combat. Just off the top of my head. That's 4. I bet we can think of a few more. Advent children. Anal coming. Anal cunt. Yes, of course anal cunt shows up. We can't have a word that starts with A without putting anal somehow into the whole thing. Ass cunt. How long are Aki's eyebrows? I think I might have drawn his eyebrows too long. It's hard to tell because they're almost always half obstructed by the hair. No, they are much shorter than this. Okay, I have to fix the eyebrows. Resident anal. Aki deserves head so good it makes him lose the ability to articulate pain, or so I'm told. Do we have any gay men or straight females in chat who can attest to the veracity of that statement? What is the quality of head that Aki deserves? Does he deserve mediocre head? High quality head? Personally, I think he needs to be suffering, so he should probably get mediocre head. Vacuum cleaner head. Who would give the best head in the Chainsaw Man universe? He deserves living parents. LMAO. Imagine Aki not suffering. Makima? Maybe. I feel like Makima would just like finger your asshole and make you come immediately instead of actually properly giving you head. I think Makima doesn't actually service people because she's the control devil. Kobeni's head game would be so terrible. I mean, as bad as Kobeni's head game would be, it wouldn't be as bad as Power's. Power's head would end with her literally biting your cock off by mistake. Even if she wasn't trying to, like, bite your cock off on purpose, which she might also do, she'd, like, start trying to have a conversation with you and start speaking, and she would definitely not do the, you know, the thing where she doesn't bite your dick thing. She'd either bite your cock off by mistake, or she'd just be like, can I just bite this? Why not? Everyone's like, is that a mistake? No, it's not. She'd chomp your dick for science. Don't let Power know how the penis works and how it gets hard by having a lot of blood inside it. Because she's definitely going to be like, oh man, I gotta take a bite out of that Tootsie Roll to get to the juicy blood filling on the inside. As soon as she found out what was in that thing, she'd be like, let's give it a bite. Notice how the chat gets more active when we imagine characters giving head over getting head. Notice. Everybody gay in here, of course. Spurt. This is the wrong kind of spurting. This kind of spurting that you don't want to see in your hentai. Is it though? I don't want the sound of my spurting blood effect to be fatal levels of blood loss coming out of my arteries. Makia is the kind to give divine head once and then don't do it again to keep leading you on with it. Oh, I'd also like to point out that if devils are supposed to be more powerful if you're afraid of them, who the fuck is afraid of control? Control devil would be like super weak, especially if it's taking the form of like dominant female. We have an entire industry of men paying to be controlled by dominant females. The control devil would be super fucking weak. People aren't afraid of being controlled at all. People fucking love being controlled. We have an entire industry based on people paying Apple $700 so that they can be part of the Apple ecosystem and pay extra money for their fucking overpriced Apple products. Nobody is afraid of control, of being controlled. Loss of control devil is more accurate? Yeah. We're the fucking worst, but men aren't afraid of them. They just start complaining about it, but then they keep on going back to them. Stop using logic. The whole setup of Chainsaw Man never made sense with the way the devils work. The entirety of society is a battle for control over one another. Your boss's boss, the CEO. Yeah, but no one's really afraid of it. It's not really the same thing. Devilman is good shit, though. Devilman at least had a better ending than Chainsaw Man. Although it had a lot of the same aspects, like people showing up as decapitated heads and stuff. I feel just like a lot of shit that's just supposed to be depressing is just people LARPing Go Nagai 20 or 30 years after the fact and not doing as good a job. Chainsaw Man is the 5th remake of Scott Pilgrim and the 14th remake of Devilman. It really do be kind of like that, isn't it? Two bros together forever. Stop seeing homosexual tension in everything. Although I guess in Amon and Lucifer, it's kind of inevitable, but yes. No, I can't stop her, guys. She's too powerful. I ordered the Fujoshi to stop sexualizing men in close proximity to each other, and she refused. There's nothing I can do here. She's just gonna keep on sexualizing us. At least she isn't a true Fujoshi who's capable of drawing full-length manga adaptations of her own classmates. That's like the ultimate level of Fujoshi. D. And the S is everyone is afraid of control. That's why everyone self-censors nowadays. The threat of gangs and demonetization keeps them in control and they hate and fear it. That's not being afraid, though. That's working around the system while still using the system's services. People aren't afraid of it. If anything, that would make the control devil even weaker because people aren't. They're not. It's not like some sort of like think of how the system works in the way the devils work. It's like the strong ones are like the primordial fears, like the fear of darkness and shit. People, that's like just you're inconvenienced by the mods and stuff. People they're just modifying their behavior from a purely practical standpoint. They're not actually afraid of it. So things like falling devil make sense. People are just like terrified of the concept of falling if they have like fear of heights and shit. Tweak Craig forever. I think it's truly funny that they were able to like find people to they sent out the bat signal to the Fujoshis and they were like, we need your power for this episode. You need to publish content specifically for it, and we're going to feature in the TV show. And the readers, the viewers of South Park immediately were like, we got you, Matt and Trey. We happen to be a specialist at this. Trey Parker getting a Japanese wife, I believe it was Trey was it Matt or Trey who has a Japanese wife, just makes them way more aware of the various demographics they can tap if needed. I don't know what C or B or whatever would be in here, but there's definitely a line in between here that's like real people and like communicating with real people and trying to force your fantasies into the real world. It's a fundamentally different situation than anything below it. First wife was Japanese. Does he have a new wife that's not Japanese? God, they have so much money. 3-hour stream. I've been doing longer streams recently, and that's because I'm waking up in the morning. So, like in the past, I would cut the stream short because I would have to go jogging and it was getting dark. But in this case, I can just like keep on going in the morning because, you know, I've probably woken up, I've gotten my food, it's nice and sunny outside. Some people have too much money. Yeah, well, in this day and age in which TV is worth less and less, South Park still brings in lots of viewers, so... You're not obligated to any money. You're obligated to... You get what you can negotiate, and they were able to negotiate a lot of money, so it do be like that. Glad to hear you're getting rest. Yeah, I'm sleeping properly at night, so... I think my mother was worried that living alone I'd devolve into a state of just like absolute debauchery, but it's been really the opposite. I have been properly getting my sleep. How's your mom, by the way? How often do you speak to her? I do Zoom calls with her like every week or every week and a half or so, I guess. We haven't had much updates, so... I probably should talk to her more because she's old. And like she could just like die off screen and I'll be like, fuck, I haven't talked to her in 2 weeks, but that's just kind of our relationship, you know? Also, we talked for quite a bit before I went to Japan, so it's not like I didn't get to spend time with her. I spent way more time with my mother than grown adults are supposed to be spending time with their parents after they've reached, you know, grown adult age, so... Dies off screen, holy shit. I mean, if your relationship with them is you Zoom calling them, that's basically what death of your parent means if you've moved away from their house. Ultimately, my goal is to die off screen. People are like, you're gonna die alone. I'm like, good, I want to die alone. I don't want people getting in my way when I'm doing my death thing. I like to die at my own pace, thank you very much. I don't want to be dying in a hospital attached to like 10,000 machines as well. That kind of sucks too. When I feel my heart giving out and I'm gonna start shitting my pants as I expire, I like to do that in my lonely apartment alone. I try to call mine at least once or twice a week. She calls me more now for reasons. Hystrixia, I was gonna let you, like, talk about this on your own terms, but because you're, like, hinting it in chat, I don't really know how to respond to this. I think you should either, like, talk about it entirely or not talk about it at all. It's kind of weird to, you know, talk around it all the time. Keep vague posting. Okay, I guess you can keep vague posting if you want to. There's nothing I can do to stop you, but it's weird. I don't like having to censor myself, so I don't really know whether you want to keep it private or not. Of course, Polyman is the person who wants to say that you should keep vague posting. Vague posting is really annoying. I like how Ball skips the bullshit. It's because of the Asperger's. So Asperger's have like a really difficult time self-censoring themselves. Self-censoring themselves. So I have to, it's a lot of work for me to remember I'm not supposed to talk about the thing at the top of my head. You just don't get it, Ball. It's super annoying. Say the thing, or don't say it all. There's a hashtag. Oh my fucking god. The vague posting was just too powerful. I had to do it. Rare non-constrictor timeout there. Here, I found some video footage.
Get it out. Come on. Please. Oh, God. Please.
Ah, ah, ah! I like how it basically just looks like a UFO catcher, like the Crane game. It's so beautiful. Oh, it even has an umbilical cord. I forgot about that. Staple, chunk, 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 chunk. If only it was that cheap and easy. I thought you can't remove the alien. This is a different alien. This is earlier stage alien, so... The fact that they just have like a medical pod that you can just go into and then they can just do it immediately and it's just like quick and easy and probably cheap, although I don't know how much this costs, is a far more optimistic view of the future than the current state of the medical, you know, setup that we have going on in America. So I wish my baby looked like that. Remember that if your baby looks like that 30 minutes later in the second half of the movie, it where is the photo of it? They're not showing. I can't find the grown images of the grown ass thing. It becomes like, at least there's footage of it like strangling the dude right here, but here we go. The trilobite. Here's an image. Hystrixia ideal baby form. Unfortunately, I don't think you have the genetic alien bioweapon goo to let you have this kind of baby. This isn't the baby. This is the original alien. This one is the baby right here. The way she can move around after that is nuts. She's like full of drugs, so... Also, imagine how easy giving birth to children would be if they grew into, like, full-size things, monster things, within, like, 5 hours, which is basically what happens in the movie. What sucks isn't really childbirth, it's like raising the damn thing over the next, like, 15 to 40 years, depending on how autistic they are. It's so hard to find a bioweapon nowadays. They don't make them like they used to. I wish I had a bioweapon girlfriend. This has been like what men have been wanting for many years now. The bioweapon girlfriend. Or monster girlfriend. Anything that's just like a normal human female. Alas, men can no longer have the imagination to imagine a world in which normal human female can love them, so we have to just go for various bioweapons instead. We're just like, if only we had a bioweapon, she could find something lovable about me. Kids are bioweapons if you think about it. All they do is sleep and eat, especially when they go to daycare. They're bioweapons on your wallet. They're bioweapons on your sleep. Your spare time, your sanity. Just found out my sister is pregnant. What, that was interesting. You're gonna have to buy some shit for the baby shower now. Sleep especially. Apparently I was like a super easy baby. I bet part of the reason why my mother was let me live in her house for so long was because I was like extremely easy to handle as a kid. Being like the Asperger's, I wouldn't like complain at all. I just sit there quiet and like not do shit, except when my mother would try and move me from one location to the other. Like I would hate it when the daycare was closing and I'd have to go from the daycare to back home, because like I would have to like get myself settled, and then like the act of getting me to move from location 1 to location 2, it would just like freak the fuck out of me. And that lasted all the way until I was like into the like middle school, or I don't know, even adulthood. I have to like prepare myself mentally to go from one location to another. But I didn't do much crying and stuff. I was just docile. You often hear about like the kids that would like climb up onto the refrigerator when you weren't watching, and then they end up becoming like famous mountaineering explorers and stuff in the future. But I was definitely the opposite of that. So far, no signs of autism for the child. Yeah, I mean, we didn't have the diagnoses back when I was that age group, so I would have probably been diagnosed much earlier if it was 2026. The quiet kid that grows up to draw booba. I mean, I wasn't quiet during like my adolescence though. It was just like the baby stage. I mean, I'm certainly not quiet right now, considering I've been speaking for, you know, fucking 3 hours. Autistic babies are known for being abnormally quiet. I was the same. Interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah, I wasn't the full autism, so I don't think I have got the full, like, he doesn't say anything experience, but it was apparently pretty easy. I also came out of the vagina hole pretty quickly as well. Everyone being like, you will never touch pussy, but joke's on you, we all have to touch it unless we get the C-section, which is increasingly more common nowadays, I guess, so it's not everybody. I think the labor was like less than 10 hours, I think. Yeah, it wasn't 18 hours, it was pretty quick, apparently. This is first childbirth. My mother keeps on talking about how she asked my father to drive her to the hospital, but then she got super worried about the parking because he was like, no, I'm just going to leave the car up front. And she's like, no, 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 not the car. You're going to get a ticket. This is typical behavior of my mother, where she's like, I don't need some stupid guy to be watching me shit out this baby. Your job is to care about the vehicle up front. My mother has often complained about how society is like, the man must be there in the birthing room to help and provide emotional support, and my mother is always like, why? He's not doing anything, which I think is a perfectly rational opinion. in Japan in the anime, you often see like the midwives just like kick the guy out of the room altogether because it's like, A, the woman doesn't want to see, she doesn't want the husband to see her in her most like disheveled, pissing and shitting baby out state, for one thing. And then B, it's not like the guy is doing anything anyways. But like in Western culture, we're like, no, you have to be there to provide your hand so she can hold your hand and like crush your bones with her insane pain, super strength. And it's like, what is that accomplishing? It's just a lot of wasted time and, you know, bones for the guy's hand. My water broke 3 weeks early, so that was fun. So do you have to just like I assume when you say 3 weeks early, that just meant that like it was scheduled and then you went to the hospital after that instead of walking around with broken water for, you know, 3 weeks until the actual birth. I hear that nowadays that you can just like schedule it hyper specifically, right? Like you can have like just the birth date set up and like I don't know how they do that, but like they have drugs or whatever and it's just like all scheduled. Unless it breaks early, I assume is how it works. Just use water gun. Just bring video game there. You think my wife would appreciate it if I started playing Pokemon in the delivery room while she was screaming in pain? I was just like, hold on, babe. I have to capture this Pokemon. I have to level up my Magikarp. Just one more level, baby, then I can get back to your side. This is a really important part of the Pokemon experience. I'm in the Safari Zone right now, baby. I can't pause. If you catch a shiny Mewtwo, I think she'll understand. Unfortunately, with the drop rates, I don't think it's possible to catch a Mewtwo in the 18 hours of labor she's going through. If your water breaks, you have to go in to avoid infection. I assume that you probably shouldn't just be walking around dripping everywhere. Pokemon insulting. I only have like one game on my Game Boy. I didn't have any Switches or anything, so... Back in the day, the Game Boy was the only handheld we had, unless you owned a Wonder Swan. Rest in peace, PlayStation Portable. You were a very good piece of hardware, especially compared to the double screen, but unfortunately Nintendo fans only buy from Nintendo. Shiny hunting is about as pleasant as giving birth. There was the Game Gear, I guess you're right. The Game Gear, which was particularly non-existent because it would eat through like 5 batteries in 2 hours. Shiny hunting is just you're getting a slightly different colored Pokemon, right? The Game Boy truly is the Seinfeld was never funny of gaming because if you're born after 95, then it's impossible to give a fuck about Game Boy games. Yeah. I shit on Zoomers plenty, but I won't shit on any Zoomer being like, this Game Boy game looks like shit, it plays like shit, it's awful, and you're like, yeah, kid, this is all we had back then. If we could afford a Game Gear and the 10 million batteries it cost, then we would play on Game Gear as well. But it had no games. The common problem. My dad had a Neo Geo Pocket Color and played a lot of Metal Slug. God, it sucks that SNK didn't just like win the video game wars. That would have been sweet. Imagine if SNK had won and there was just like a Neo Geo arcade console on every street corner, like Mexico. The alternate timeline in which Sega wins, which SNK wins. Not Microsoft wins. Nobody is looking for the timeline in which Xbox wins. I don't think anyone wants that. Even if Xbox was like good at the time in which it was winning, as soon as Microsoft won, they just make everything shitty anyway, so there isn't any really good timeline regarding that one. SNK owned by Saudis. Yeah, that's the only reason they still exist, is because the Saudis like the SNK game, so... What is Metal Slug doing nowadays? Actually, there was a French Metal Slug Tactics game that came out that looked pretty good. It had nice artwork. I think it was called Metal Slug Tactics. I think that's the most recent shit we got. It clearly was a love letter to the franchise, so... Of course, the image that they show of this is immediately Fio and her big boobs. Assets Nintendo. Oh, I see some assets right here, baby. There's plenty of assets here. If I play Metal Slug, I will play Fio just so I can look at the booba, even if it's non-existent in the original sprites. Feels good, man. Top tier character design. Old Fio face, though. You know you're a true Metal Slug head if you're like jacking off to like this face. I can't remember what it looks like. It's kind of like this, right? I think this is a pretty accurate representation of them in the character select screen. What does she look like? I think this is pretty close. Fio, character select, Metal Slug. Yeah, here we go. Of course, the first image we get is some stupid fucking thought putting herself in there. We often accuse the Western media of making people purposefully ugly, but SNK could do it too. I can't remember if they changed the expression when you selected them, or they were making the selection from the beginning. No, I guess it was just like that. LMAO. And then we start getting kawaii anime girl versions and stuff like that. Ugu, am I kawaii? Booba. Metal Slug, my childhood gachi hyper. Have you guys seen the Tom and Jerry dubbed with Metal Slug sound effects? That shit got recommended to me on YouTube in 2026, and I was like, holy shit. This has been around forever. It's shockingly well done. 2 million views from 6 years ago. Trap happy. I guess this is a Japanese internet only thing because all the comments are Japanese. Okay.
Thank you. Come on, boy.
Wah!
Metal Slug. Metal Slug. Mission, start. Mission, start.
And the sound effect that you're all waiting for, of course, is he waits a long time to actually pull it out. Where is it? Here we go. At the end.
Your mince meat. Mince meat. Shotgun.
Shotgun! We were all waiting for the shotgun. Shotgun. We should have more games with, like, properly tailored sound effects where it's just, like, immediately noticeable, even if you're dubbing it over a Tom and Jerry episode. Tom is a fucking tank? Yes. You know, I think Tom and Jerry appeals, besides like a lot of the cuteness, it also appeals to the core concept of tsundere. The Japanese love their tsundere, right? And Tom and Jerry, they're always buddies, even at the end of the day. Like they spend all their time trying to kill each other. But at the end of the day, they're buddies. Japanese fucking love the tsundere. If Jerry is about to get fucking torched for real, Tom is, you know, gonna step in and save his buddy. It's very early stage tsundere before we had the concept of tsundere. Also, Japan just likes cute Western stuff. They fucking love Tom and Jerry, they fucking love Peanuts. They fucking love Disney. There's a huge market for Western cartoons that is just like cute merchandising. And women will buy that shit and just like have bags of that stuff. Butch. Not as much Looney Tunes, though. I think Looney Tunes just isn't cute enough to really activate the Japanese brain cells. Alright. Hystrixia is checking on the data for Tom and Jerry dog name, but I am going to end the stream about now because it's been 3.5 hours and I haven't made actual much progress. So as usual, I have to draw offline without talking to you guys if I want to actually make progress, but I made a little bit of progress, so that's good enough. See you around, guys. Good night, boys. Good night.